Part 3. Jesus answered my question, where were you when I was being sexually abused? The problem of evil, of suffering, of pain, and especially of abuse, particularly sexual abuse. Part 3 of these biblical spiritual reflections, where Jesus answers me. He begins by telling me who he was and what his real mission in life was. Deeper meaning of his life. I am the suffering servant of Yahweh, prophesied by Isaiah, the real limited Yeshua of Nazareth that so many Catholics don't want to see. They prefer the handsome, pretty, perfect, almost effeminate version of me. A smiling Jesus who is kind of harmless and wimpy as portrayed in Jesus Christ's Superstar. The Jesus of their pious imagination who simply never did and does not exist. He had no form or charm to attract us, no beauty to win our hearts. He was despised, the lowest of men, a man of sorrows, familiar with suffering, one from whom, as it were, we averted our gaze. Despised, for whom we had no regard, yet ours were the sufferings he was bearing, ours the sorrows he was carrying, while we thought of him as someone being punished and struck with affliction by God, whereas he was being wounded for our rebellions, crushed because of our guilt. The punishment reconciling us fell on him, and we have been healed with his bruises. Remember, Paul, continues Jesus, that watershed moment which is supposed to be the essence of our faith, our weekly worship, of our very lives, that great weekly commemoration which we call with the rather boring name of the Mass. Try to understand, Paul. After supper I took the Passover chalice, cup of salvation of my people from the deadly 10th plague, and pronouncing the traditional Jewish prayer, blessed are you, God, Lord God of all creation, through your goodness we have this wine to offer, fruit of the vine and work of human hands. I gave it to them, saying, take this and drink it, for this wine is my blood as of the Passover lamb, blood of the new and eternal covenant alliance, which I am shedding for you and for all, for the forgiveness of sin and the consolation of all those murdered, tortured, exiled, homeless, abused until the end of time. And let me remind you that although I never totally lost it during my suffering, there was a moment when I experienced that loneliness and abandon that abused people feel, almost a despair. As I continued to lose blood and the excruciating pain increased by my hanging from the cross by the nails, the opening phrase of Psalm 22, again from my studies as a child, gushed from my lips in Hebrew, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, my God, why have you forsaken me?